Really well done. Mara?
Yeah, and confirmation of that protest is just dropped right now. Protest by Mercedes AMG Petronas, the Formula One team, against car 33 for alleged breach of Article 48.8 of the 2021 FIA Formula One sporting regulations. That's all it says at the moment. I think the catch-all is that they're protesting the outcome of the race, obviously after what we've just seen. Just a tweet from George Russell that's just dropped. Max, an absolutely fantastic driver who's had an incredible season. I have nothing but huge respect for him, but what just happened is absolutely unacceptable. I cannot believe what we've just seen. Obviously, George Russell is leaving Williams. He will be a Mercedes driver next year. But look, this is absolutely split down the middle here. You can see why the management have buried themselves away, because they believe that the result is unfair. Yeah, what's the latest? I think we could be here sometime.
Frantically Google's FIA Sporting Director Regulations 48.8. And 48.8 is effectively, sorry, I can take this off now, can't I? Effectively the catch-all phrase that governs when cars are allowed to overtake the safety car or not. And there is a clause in there that would look to be certainly towards Mercedes' advantage. So not only have they got 39.12, which is the one we talked about, that only when all of the lap cars have unlap themselves may the race go on. There's 48.8 is just about when people may overtake after safety cars, so that's further down in the sporting regulations. Now the big question is whether they do have a case. Is anything going to happen?
Now this is the moment where it all gets very controversial. You can understand why Mercedes are aggrieved about this. So these 5 cars, I'm just going to pick them out here. You can see Ricciardo, the 2 Alpines, and there, Leclerc and Vettel. So those 5 cars, sorry, not Ricciardo, it's Norris, but those 5 cars were asked to pass Lewis Hamilton, who is here behind the safety car, and there's Max Verstappen. So effectively, that's given Max a clear run to attack Lewis on the final lap. Now what Mercedes are upset about, of course, is that the other cars behind, so that is Ricciardo, Stroll and Schumacher, weren't asked to pass. So they're saying, listen, hang on, all the cars should have been asked to pass, not just those. And effectively, from the FIA standpoint, I think if they'd waited for those 3 cars, we would not have had this final lap of racing, which I'm about to show you, which was, of course, the most dramatic end to a World Championship that we can imagine.
Mercedes management, who are just taking stock upstairs in this pit building, because they're looking at the rules, Simon. They're looking at the rules, and particularly Article 39.12, which says that only when all the cars have overtaken can they overtake. It's 39.12 of the sporting regulations, and the key clause that Mercedes tell me they're looking at is at the end. Once the last lapped car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. Now, of course, the impulse seems to be a sporting one. We just followed Christian Horner there. The impulse from race director Michael Massey seems to be a sporting one, that he wanted the sporting competition to carry on. Well, of course, that doesn't work for Mercedes. That's meant the sporting direction would be played out by them losing the World Championship. So they're looking at process, they're looking at procedure, they're looking at the rules, and they're going to take stock before they come and talk to us in front of the camera. I think Toto probably needs to lie down too.
You can absolutely understand that. The last thing that this sport wants is for a championship to be decided on another day, aside from the race day itself. However, there is so much at stake that it's understandable that they'll be up there looking at the rules, poring over them, because if they feel that there was a breach of the rules or that the wrong rules were implied, then they have a point.
Absolutely. If they can prove that the rule was wrongly applied and that all of the cars that have been lapped should have been allowed to pass, then they've got a case.